I thought I would try something new and have my face on camera, maybe a little bit in my videos. I actually have my makeup done today. We've been stuck in the house with snow for a week now, and so we had to get out this morning. So we got out, that's why I have makeup on. I went and got my nails done, and these kids need to go. But I am getting ready to scrapbook, and I've decided I'm not doing any more winter pictures. I want the snow to go away. I was looking at cruise pictures and thinking about doing some warm pictures, but I actually decided to scrapbook Heath. So let me turn this around and let's get started. So also, I did clean my craft space today, and I moved some things around. So we're gonna see if this is a little more helpful for me. I kind of moved my cutting place over here with my die cut machine, and I moved my inks over here where my blending brushes are. Those things kind of switch spots. And so on my desk today we have Cool Boy. So I have 2 die cut packs for Cool Boy in the 6x8 paper pad. And then I picked these pictures of Heath on his birthday morning where we went to Starbucks, and he was not suspecting that he was going to be surprised with a trip to Harry Potter World that evening. So let's get started scrapbooking these. So I am going to prepare some white cardstock before I get started on my layout. I am using clear gesso to prep the page for a lot of mixed media, and I mean a lot. I get really messy on this one. I actually used alcohol inks, and I pretty much push the paper to the max. You really need some thick paper for that. Here I am using my Cricut. I got an icon for free on Google of a latte, or I'm sorry, more of a frappuccino. So there I am cutting that out. I'm going to set aside my gessoed paper to dry, and while it is drying, I'm going to work with the cut file. I have these 3 pictures of Heath, and so that's kind of the design I'm going for. So I look at the Cool Boy paper pad, and I'm going to flip through and find the perfect paper to use to back my cut file. So I added white for the what do you call it? The Cool Whip, or the whipped cream in the drink. And now I'm just looking to see which design I want to use. So it was his birthday, so I thought about the stars, and I like the tie-dye, but I want to do mixed media, and I thought it would be too close to what the mixed media would look like. So I decided to go with this smiley face paper. So I'm going to kind of, this one is light blue and orange and green, and then I'm going to do mostly a blue background on the mixed media. So I decided then I'm going to do a shaker at the top. So I grab my acetate pages from my cherry acetate, and I grab my cherry tape because glue doesn't really work well with acetate. So I am using my cherry tape to go around the edges of this cut file. It's nice and thin, so it fits on the thin little lines of the cut file design. And then I'm going to peel off the backing, and I'm going to stick down 1 layer of the acetate. And then I am going to try a new product that I just received. It is from Waffle Flower Crafts, and it's a different widths of foam tape. So there's the package, and you can see it has like bigger pieces that are the same as the foam tape I already had on a roll, but then it has these really skinny pieces. So I was like cutting my rolled foam tape down the middle, and it was kind of a pain. So this was exciting because I didn't have to trim it myself, and it easily bends around the curve there. And so now I'm going to pull the backing off. I've made sure to leave no gaps because we don't want any of our sequins getting out. And I'm just going to fill it with a few of the sequins from my stash. I picked some orange ones and then 2 different colors of green that really match the background paper nicely. And they were just like staticky sticking to my fingers, but I'm trying really hard not to stick them to the foam tape. But I find that it's easier to take the backing off the foam tape before you put it in. Otherwise, they all try to jump out of your little well that you are placing the sequins in. So I sandwiched down on top of that another acetate sheet so it's completely clear and see-through. You could also do just a background paper if you didn't want it to be able to see the background paper through the clear acetate, but I like the idea of it being clear. Like the top of a Frappuccino cup, right? And it's just like a little bit of a shaker element at the top, and then I added a little bit of like coffee colored paper in there at the top. I'm really loving the way that looks. So my gesso has completely dried on my background. That's important. Always make sure your gesso is completely dry. And I am using my Distress Oxide pads in 3 different colors to scrape the color onto the page. I think I have Tumbled Glass, Mermaid Lagoon, and I don't know what the other one was. Sorry. Tumbled Glass, those are the only 2 I can see. Anyway, I'm using my paintbrush and some water to just spread the color around the page the tiniest little bit. I kind of give it a bouncy movement, and it will kind of create a little bit of splatter. And I'm just kind of smudging out the lines that are created from directly setting the ink pad onto the page, and putting gesso on the paper is what allows me to be able to do that, and the lines don't stay. Now, while it is still completely wet from the water, I'm going to go in with these 2 alcohol inks, right? So I just kind of splattered the alcohol ink onto the water, and then I have in that little white cap it's a cap full of just alcohol. And so what I'm doing is I'm using the alcohol, and it kind of does like a resist to the alcohol ink when you add the alcohol to the alcohol ink. And so it kind of is what makes it spread and kind of go crazy, and it makes these like cool almost tie-dye effects. So that is a alcohol ink, but an alloy one, I think it is. And so it has shine in it, and it really deflects the alcohol. If you see how like it's just completely resisting it and creating those big white circles. But it didn't spread as nicely as the turquoise regular alcohol ink did. So I end up using the turquoise one more just because I get more of a fun effect on there. Now, a lot of times you'll see people using alcohol inks with Yupo paper, which is like a plastic type of paper. I don't have that, especially not in a 12 by 12 size, but I was able to achieve a fun result with the gesso. That being said, I pretty much pushed this paper as far as it could go. So if you turn the paper over, you'll see places where the alcohol ink was starting to bleed through. It did not, which doesn't really bother me. The problem would have been if it had created a hole, but it didn't. It didn't create a hole because I put a lot of gesso on. It was probably more so just kind of soaking into little tiny spots that I had missed with the gesso. So I decide for my design, and my cut file is big and I'm using 3 photos, I need a little bit more color on the background and a few white spaces. So I decide to build up some more color down here in the bottom right, which I think actually I end up turning the paper so that ends up being the top left, but either way. It was fun. I liked this. I actually am one that kind of whines and pouts if they say, oh, we're going to focus on alcohol inks this month or play with those. And I'm like, well, I'm not good at those, but I actually really enjoyed this. I don't have as much going on as far as design teams here lately. I'm kind of really focused in on my cherry on top, and I have time to play, which is essentially what I'm doing here. And I think that's really good for creativity. Having too many deadlines wasn't a great thing for me. So being able to play and kind of get out my supplies and mess around and just experiment, because I had already told myself when I was getting out the alcohol inks, I said, if I mess this page up, it's fine. It's a white piece of cardstock. I'll get another piece of cardstock out. Not a big deal. But I actually super love how it turned out. So now I'm just going through and creating some watercolors with those Distress Oxides on the glass mat and adding additional splatter pretty much all around the page. Kind of mostly concentrated more on like the outside edges, but I let that dry and I just love it. I love it. It kind of looks like oceany, which it doesn't have anything to do. This isn't a water page at all, but I'm getting ocean vibes here. But I like that the blue smiley faces in the paper kind of pick up the blue from the background, and then it's just a fun, bright page. And it was his birthday page, so I feel like fun and bright is a really good theme, a really good element to have on a birthday page for an 11-year-old boy, right? So I'm going to pop up this cut file with some foam tape, which it was already a little bit popped up because of the shaker element. So that's just kind of bringing the rest of the piece to be the same level as the shaker level. So just adding my cherry foam tape there. And then I do end up cutting apart those photos because I feel like I can position everything better on the page when they are separate rather than the initial thought that I had, which was going to be placing them down all three together. And then I backed them on some white cardstock, and some of them I will pop up on some foam tape, and the other one I'll kind of put fleshed out on the page. Mostly because I'm going to overlap my title onto it, and so I don't want to have to like pop up the title on a bunch of foam pieces. So these are my Concord and Ninth alphas that I love. I've used them for years. So I'm doing silver outsides and white insides, which kind of matches that sticker that I pulled from a very old crepe paper birthday collection, which I was influenced to get from Missy Wooden. And then I did the word 11 with the black to kind of bring out the pop from the party word. So my title is going to say Party Like an 11-year-old. And I did I took the text from the Instagram post I posted on his birthday that just every year I just kind of like highlight them and just say things about them and things that they like and things that are just them, a snapshot of them in that year at that time. And so I took that Instagram post and I made it teeny and put it in that little frame, which is the Cool Boy collection. I think it's like the journaling and ephemera bits. I think that's what it's called. So I'm just kind of determining the positioning of everything at the end here before I'm ready to actually commit and stick everything down. Because I had so much gesso and so much mixed media on there, I'm gonna, really load up the adhesive on everything. I've gone through the ephemera packs that I have for Cool Boy. These are 2 ephemera packs. So that looks like a lot of ephemera. It is. Those are 2 different packs. One's the journaling one and one's just the regular die cut one. But I'm bringing out warm elements that kind of match the paper. And even that one little vellum tag is literally the same exact paper, but tinier. I loved that. And that you can still see the mixed media through the vellum. That's really fun. And I like to overlap all of my items on the page to bring cohesion. Everything's kind of touching and tucked and underneath and on top. And and so I kind of have that orange color in a few different spots, a nice visual triangle with the shoes and the star and the shine bright up at the top. Those are just a few tricks that you can do to make sure that your page looks put together and as if you meant to do it on purpose. Also, like I had the silver glitter, I pulled out a couple of these elements that are silver foil. So I have a few pops of the silver around there. Heath placed the guitar, so I threw a guitar down there next to him. I like the Cool Boy collection. It's cute. It does have a few elements that are maybe more for younger kids, but it definitely had enough for him, which, I mean, he's 11. He's not like he's not a teenager yet, but also he's a super young kid too. He'd be totally cool with dinosaurs riding tricycles too. But there he is. There's the final layout. I'm super happy with it. I had a lot of fun playing. I hope you like it. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll link down below with my affiliate links if you'd like to go pick up any of these supplies. This is a new collection, so there's tons of it still in the store. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye, y'all.